This is an extract from our AHK Hero Club. We have calls 3 times a week. Please like the video if you learned something. So anyway, I think actually, and this is why it's a really good point, Ray, also is in my brain, I had, and this was one of Friday's afternoons from, if I remember right, 1 to 2, Sabrina, whatever her Romanoff something, right? She does live YouTube calls for usually like an hour-ish. And so I watched it yesterday and I didn't learn a lot, but one of the recurring things she kept saying was, remember to question your assumptions, right? And remember to go back to AI and ask it the things you're not asking it, right? And what I wasn't thinking through was, well, maybe I can just peek inside the CLI itself and understand, look at the class or whatever it is that's driving it. And maybe then I don't have to create the AutoHotkey class because I would feel better of like, because I don't care if it's in Python or whatever. Once you understand objects, it's easy to read something. I don't have to write it all by hand. I just want to be able to scan it and see what's there, right? So, Irfan, can you look like we have like the Excel CLI that we wrote? Like, do you know where that is? Let's see if we can open that up in VS Code and just be like, oh, here's what the methods we have.
Let me see. AI folder,
And share your folder when you're there.
CLI anything. Okay, that's. I think we put that in the Excel folder. Yeah. So here it is. It's our CLI. So what this one is doing, this one was using our. So this is the compiled version. This is the uncompiled, and in the uncompiled we can see. So actually, this is receiving the arguments, and this is parsing the arguments, and this is the command line. And whatever we pass to it, then it will decide what command to be dispatched. So these are all our commands. So open, close, save as.
Yeah.
So let's see the open. So if I go to the open, so this is my com object, and this is my arguments, which are parsed into a array, I would say, maybe map. So we have optional stuff, and then we get the path, and then we have read only or visible, and then we apply them, and that's how we open them. So the path is the first item, and the read only is the get flag. So how we get the flag from the first. So
So the other thing I was going to bring up was, which is why I don't love the CLI, is of course, you need to be watching. I think there were the two, right? The standard out and the standard error. Because that's how you would detect when you're using a CLI of if it worked or didn't work, so to speak, right, Irfan? Like, so to speak.
yes, you're right. So for example, reading a data. Let me see where it is. So let's see how that's working.
And then you have to remember, which is what we talked about a little yesterday, was what you get back, you don't have to have in the CLI, right? Like that
We
you
have
can dump to a JSON file or whatever you want, right? Like, um,
so we use sheet and we use range, and this will create a 2D array rows and out. What is out? Out is the array. So it will just give me the array and this
it's okay. You
function.
don't have to keep stepping through it. I just wanted to look at one and see if it was discernible, like you said at the top, even though it's not perfect to read, at least I have a quick place to scan and go, oh, here's the functionality that it has, right? Like that's what I wasn't in my brain, a CLI, I can't look inside it. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
what we're used to. For you can hit the /help and kind of read about it, um, but you can't peek around like this. But now that if we're creating the CLI and
Mhm.
we have it as a
So,
readable file, hey,
mhm.
we can go inspect it and look at it stuff. So yeah,
So here actually we are getting the result and we are passing it down. Die okay. I don't know why the name is die okay, but it if it is a JSON, then it will treat it as a JSON. Sometimes CSV, TSV, and text. Sometimes it's map, and that's how out JSON. So out JSON is kind of a library that turn the array or object into the JSON, and it will go into the stdouts. So that's how it is working.
yeah. So I may stop on mine for creating the AutoHotkey script and just say, hey, I'll create one for working with go ahead and create the CLI, right? Like that's fine. Um, and just remember, we'll need to. Well, AI will be able to read it and update it and stuff. It was just in my brain, I wanted to stick to what I knew, right? But again, I don't look at the code so much these days anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, so it doesn't really make a difference
Yeah,
with
yeah,
they'll probably write it in Python unless you tell it not to.
right.
Because I know when I did my things, it says I'm going to write these Python scripts. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had thought about that, David. It was also in the I mentioned I was starting to outline a course, for using AI, but with AutoHotkey, but also saying, look, we'll talk about because people need to know how to, install AutoHotkey, how to run a script, how to get the output. But that is to your point, like that is unless the AI is taking care of everything, you still need to be able to install the programming. Let's say it's Python or C Sharp or C++
Right.
or whatever. If you're working with it, you need to understand how to kick it off, how to get your errors. There's some minor things that you do still need to know for now, right? Um,
I think so because I don't know because sometimes it says, oh, you need to run this, and I'm like, can't you do it? And it's like, okay, you know what I mean?
it's
And it's even install stuff. Oh, you need to install these. I'm like, can't you do it? Sure, I can do it, and then just give it permission to install the whatever it needs to install. I mean, I don't. When you're what you're saying is, I don't know how much of that is really true anymore on Windows because a lot of times it's just use the winget command if it's a
yeah,
Windows application, and then it installs it.
yeah. I'm amazed it's how often still I'll tell it to make a change, and it's like, okay, well, go ahead and reload the script. And now I'm like, you reload, like, why are you telling me to reload it? You have the
Right.
AutoHotkey MCP, which also, by the way, we got 5 more minutes. Um, we were talking through Irfan and I were talking through this morning of the MCP versus CLI for the AutoHotkey stuff, right? And how many? Do you remember the numbers, Irfan, when it mentioned how many MCP?
So MCP has 30 tools, and 12 of them, 4 of them was commonly used, and 4 of them was like used in case they needed, and 4 of them. So 12 MCP tools were being used in different cases, and 18 of them was not being used.
Well,
So
and more importantly, I'm not everything you said is totally great, but the vast majority of what we were actually doing could be done from the CLI anyway, right?
yeah,
And then we switch back to when an MCP kicks off. How many tools you said? 30 something? How many we have? Um,
30 tools.
it's no matter what happens, it uses those tokens. And I think you said it was like 30,000 tokens. Did I remember that
It's
correctly?
going to load all those, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
15K
So
tokens.
so I told Irfan, I said, I wanted just to have the MCP, not because I care about the MCP, but I wanted to make sure we need to be able to do the syntax check, the error, the runtime errors, and capture those. Right? If we can do that from the CLI, I just don't want to lose functionality. So we're going to migrate maybe all of the MCP to the CLI, or let's say 85% of it, or I'm making up a number, right? But even if we only migrate, 90% of it and there's 10% left in the MCP, now that MCP is going to be tiny compared to 30,000 tokens, right? So even if we did still have to include it because it did things the CLI can't, there's a crap load we can push into the CLI which doesn't eat up your tokens, right?
Right.
And also that was what I think I mentioned a minute ago in that video on the CLI versus MCP. He talked about how models have been trained, over, all the data on using the CLI. They have a ton of data on it. That's why you don't have to tell it how to use them. It's ingrained into them in their training and everything. The MCP stuff, that's when you're like, hey, here's stuff it may not know, right? Like that was also he mentioned was, and there's the whole connectivity. If it doesn't have a way to do that, then you might want the MCP.
Did you ask the AI about the two? Like the difference? Would it be better to do or have a slight connection between the two or something like that? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
So I was talking about converting AutoHotkey MCP into the CLI. So I asked him what would be working and what would not be easy to convert. So it told me 28 tools were easy to. They are simple MCP tools that can easily be converted into the CLI. But the debugging protocol, so DBG protocol for AutoHotkey, they need sessions. So for each debugging session, we have to track that ID down. And if that is running through the CLI, it will be very hard to maintain them for multiple debugging. And AI usually does the multiple debugging things when it is working on some scripts. So I told him to create another executable just for creating the DBG protocols. And then it replied, yeah, that's a very good idea. And now it is planning. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
I also I had started, I can share my screen here real quick.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
I'd say at least an hour ago, I've been going back and forth with Claude on creating an AHK CLI skill, building in a lot of different stuff. So it may or may not be the exact thing that Irfan's going to use in our thing, but I think it'll have a lot of the functionality that we need that we can borrow from. Right? Or they become the same thing. Like I wanted a skill that was very good at working with a CLI and sending it stuff, watching for things. It mentioned because if we use the CMD, remember with Irfan with FFmpeg, when you kick it off with the CMD, the PID, is that what it is? Isn't the FFmpeg's PID? It's the CMD's PID, and it's like, this is why we don't want to use that. It at the beginning of this, I said, hey, let's outline this. Now take the pros. I was doing planning mode. And then I said, now give the stuff we talked about to counsel and ask Grok and ChatGPT and Gemini about our plan and to tell it to, do point counterpoint, kind of argue with stuff. And it changed our direction and where we were going with stuff. But I think we're going to have a pretty robust CLI skill for doing a lot more than just the AutoHotkey, debugging stuff. We use the CLI in a lot of ways with AutoHotkey already, but there's these little nuances, like you said, when what was it? It said something about not ghosting, but things that get run like an FFmpeg, you go to kill it, but then there's these random FFmpeg things still running that it wasn't able to kill or whatever.
When the PID is like it grabbed the wrong PID. And for example, if it did want to kill some PID, but that PID is not there, it is already closed. So it suspect and try to find another PID for FFmpeg, and it thinks, yeah, that process need to be killed, and it killed the wrong process.
And which I don't know where it fits in this whole discussion, but I thought, because it happened coincidentally when Irfan had made some changes or we update the MCP.
Yes.
Randomly, VS Code, I'd be doing stuff and it would kill all my running AutoHotkey scripts. And I thought it was the AutoHotkey MCP doing it. But I think it was just the VS Code extension talking to Claude and it was like, oh, we're working on this tool. Let's just kill all of the AutoHotkey scripts running instead of just the one we're working on. So I don't think it was the MCP, but we need to, however we bring it back, we need to have that as its own, I don't know if that's its own standalone skill or what, to tell it when you're working on a given script and you go to kill it. First off, single instance force usually should take care of that. You don't have to worry about it, right? Just relaunch it. It's fine. But I want to make sure it's not killing because I have a dozen at least other scripts. I don't want to have them killed every time.
Yeah, it thinks that AutoHotkey.executable is just a single instance.
Yeah.
So we have to mention somewhere in our rules that AutoHotkey is executable. It can run multiple instances of multiple scripts.
But by the way, and I forget which tool I was working on this morning, but I have in my instructions, if you're working with an any file, always use the any read and any write, because the any file is actually very complicated, and the encoding you need to be using, is very specific for AutoHotkey. Well, maybe it was this tool, the har parser, but it for whatever reason, and it did tell me later, it wasn't reading my API key for the HIR tool for sending it. Even though I put it in there, it had the wrong encoding. And I said, but I don't understand. I told you in my instructions, make sure you always, and it says, yeah, I just regarded it because it was just faster to read the entire thing with file read and whatever. It's like, sorry about that. Like, that was my bad. I'm like, okay, let's work harder on remembering that. But just FYI, like it still didn't. It's like, you were very clear to avoid this specific problem. You had me tell you this, but I disregarded it.
So we should mention critical in the
That's a good
bracket
point,
in
Irfan.
our rule.
Yeah.
So yeah, always use any read and write critical.
Yeah, that's a good, or I don't know if just putting asterisks around it, because that would sort of make it bold or something, right? In the
I would say box brackets around them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we're at the end of the hour. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks.
See you. Get insider savings, 25% off courses, scripts, and done-for-you AHK jobs, making premium tools affordable and accessible. Tap into over 466 plus hours of AHK video gold, including fresh clips like this, for anytime learning that fits your schedule.